The night sky was calm. Stars blinked like tiny lamps far away in the dark. Birds had gone silent. Even the wind was quiet. Then something tore the sky apart. A loud boom echoed across the forest. A ball of fire rushed down from the clouds. It crashed into the trees, shaking the ground. Smoke rose. Animals ran in fear. Ethan, a former soldier living alone in a cabin deep in the woods, heard the crash. He stood on his porch, holding his flashlight and rifle. His dog barked but stayed close. What the hell was that? Ethan whispered. He had seen many strange things during the war, but this was not a plane. Ethan followed the smoke. After walking for 20 minutes, he saw it, a strange metal pod half buried in the earth. The ground was scorched around it. Trees were broken. The pod hissed, letting out steam. Then the pod opened. Ethan pointed his rifle, ready for anything. A creature crawled out, bleeding, weak, and barely able to move. Its skin was rough and gray. Its eyes were too large. Its arms were long, with sharp fingers. It looked like something from a nightmare. Ethan stepped back. What the creature collapsed at didn't attack. It didn't growl. It just lay there. Ethan lowered his rifle, heart still racing. Is this an alien? He looked around. No soldiers, no helicopters, no cameras. Just him and the creature. He looked at the pod again. Strange symbols glowed on the side. Whatever this thing was, it had come from very far away. The alien coughed, a wet sound. It tried to stand, then fell again. It looked at Ethan with tired eyes. No hate, no fear, just pain. Ethan remembered wounded soldiers from the war, bleeding, crying for help, left behind. He stepped closer. The alien didn't move. Against the voice in his head, Ethan picked it up. It was cold, lighter than it looked. It wore torn metal armor, almost like a prisoner's suit. He carried it back through the forest, heart thumping with every step. What if someone saw? What if it died? He reached his cabin and placed the creature gently on the couch. His dog growled softly. It's okay, Ethan said. I don't think it's dangerous. He got his first aid kit. The alien flinched when he touched its arm but didn't fight. Easy, I'm trying to help. He cleaned the wounds. The skin healed faster than human skin, but still needed care. The creature had bruises, burns, and what looked like whip marks on its back. Were you a prisoner? The alien blinked slowly. It didn't speak, but a tear rolled down its cheek. Ethan sat back. His hands were shaking. What had he just done? He had brought an alien into his home. This was crazy. Illegal, maybe. Dangerous for sure, but the creature was no threat. It was hurt alone. He covered it with a blanket and sat across the room watching. Hours passed. The alien slept. Ethan didn't. At dawn, he heard helicopters in the distance. Military ones. He rushed outside, heart racing. They were searching, probably looking for the crash. He ran back inside. The alien was awake now, sitting up weakly. You can't stay here, he said. They're coming. The alien looked at him. Its lips moved. A rough voice came out, soft and broken. Why? Save me. Ethan froze. It spoke. He swallowed hard. Because no one deserves to die like that, not even you. The alien blinked. Its eyes softened. Ethan grabbed some food and water. He handed it over. Eat, you'll need strength. The alien ate slowly, hands shaking. Outside, the sound of choppers grew louder, but none came too close. Ethan shut the blinds. We have to stay hidden. The alien nodded. That night, Ethan didn't sleep again. He watched the creature, still unsure what it was, or what it wanted. But something inside him whispered that this was just the beginning. A human and an alien alone, hiding from the world. He looked at the couch where the alien now slept quietly. What have I gotten myself into? He whispered, but deep down, he already knew. It was 3:17 a.m. The candle on the table had almost melted down. The fire in the fireplace gave off a soft orange light. Outside, the cold wind howled through the trees. Inside the cabin, Ethan sat on the floor with a gun in his lap. Across from him, the alien was asleep on the couch, wrapped in a thick blanket. Suddenly, the blanket moved. Ethan tightened his grip on the gun. The alien opened its eyes slowly. They glowed faintly in the dark. You're awake, Ethan said, voice low. The alien didn't answer. It sat up, holding its side. Then, slowly, it looked at Ethan. There was no fear, no hate, just a long, tired silence. Ethan placed the gun on the floor. I didn't know if you were dangerous. The alien pointed at its chest. No. Danger, no hurt. Its English was broken, but clear enough. Ethan nodded. Good, because I don't want to shoot you. The alien blinked once. Then something strange happened. It looked at the candlelight. It reached out, slowly, and warmed its hands over it just like a human would. Ethan watched in silence. For the first time, he didn't see a monster. He saw someone cold, scared, and far from home. Later that morning, Ethan made oatmeal. He placed a bowl on the table. The alien watched him, confused. Food, Ethan said. It's not fancy, but it helps. The alien sniffed it, then took a small bite. It blinked again and said, warm. Ethan smiled a little. Yeah, warm. They ate in silence. After breakfast, Ethan tried asking more questions. What's your name? The alien tilted its head. No name now. Slave. Ethan's heart sank. You were a slave. The alien nodded. Ethan didn't ask more. He didn't need to. The scars on the alien's back told the full story. He stood and handed over an old t-shirt and sweatpants. Here, try these. The alien took the clothes carefully. It disappeared into the bathroom and came back out, awkwardly wearing them. The shirt was big. The pants were too long, but it looked less alien now. Still strange, yes, but softer, almost fragile. Hours passed. The alien sat by the window, watching the trees sway. Ethan sat nearby, cleaning his tools. Out of nowhere, the alien asked, "Why live alone?" Ethan didn't answer right away. "I've seen too much," he said finally. "War, lies, people pretending to care. I got tired." The alien nodded slowly. "Same." Ethan looked up. "Your people, gone," the alien whispered. "Humans took, used, hurt, few escape." A long silence followed. Ethan looked at the alien again. "I didn't do that." "I know," the alien replied. "Different." That evening, the alien stood in front of a mirror. It stared at its reflection for a long time. Then, in a quiet voice, it said, "Ugly." Ethan heard it from across the room. He walked over and stood beside the alien. "You're not ugly," he said. The alien looked at him, surprised. "You're just different." The alien's eyes shimmered. No tears fell, but the emotion was clear. "No one said that before," it whispered. Ethan gave a small nod. Well, maybe they were wrong. That night, Ethan showed the alien how to make tea. It watched closely like a child learning something new. When the tea was ready, they sat quietly in the living room. The alien sipped carefully, then smiled. "This nice," Ethan nodded. "Yeah, peaceful." Then suddenly the alien stiffened. Its ears twitched. "What is it?" Ethan asked. The alien turned to the window. Noise. Drone. Ethan ran outside. A small black drone buzzed above the tree. Silent, sleek, government-made. He grabbed his hunting rifle and aimed carefully. One shot. The drone sparked and crashed into the trees. He dragged it inside and smashed it completely. No signal left. "They're looking for you," he said. The alien touched his arm. "Thank you." Ethan looked down at the hand. It was cold, thin, clawed but gentle. "Get some sleep," he said. "Tomorrow we plan." Later that night, Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His thoughts raced. Why did he care? This creature, this slave, had been someone else's problem. He could have walked away, but he didn't, because something about her, yes, he was sure now it was a her, felt human, more human than the people who turned her into a slave. He rolled over and looked toward the couch. She was already watching him. Their eyes met. She said softly, "You kind?" Ethan didn't reply, but for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel alone. Rain tapped gently against the cabin windows. The sky outside was gray, heavy with clouds. Inside, the smell of burnt toast filled the air. "Not like that," Ethan said, holding back a laugh. "You flipped it too soon." The alien, now wearing Ethan's old hoodie, stared down at the smoking bread in the pan. She frowned. "Toast is hard." "It's just breakfast, not war," Ethan teased. She looked at him. War was easier. Ethan stopped smiling. Silence hung in the kitchen, broken only by the sound of rain. Then the alien did something new, something that surprised even herself. She smiled. It was small, a little awkward but real. Ethan blinked. "You smiled." "I tried," he laughed. "That's a start." They sat down to eat burnt toast and warm tea. She ate slowly, eyes focused, always watching his hands and how he used the spoon and cup. Ethan noticed. "You're learning fast." "I watch, I learn." He nodded. "That's what smart people do." She tilted her head. "Am I people?" Ethan set down his spoon. "Yeah, you are." After breakfast, they went outside. The rain had stopped. Mist rose from the ground like ghosts. Ethan showed her how to split wood. She watched carefully, then took the axe. With one strong swing, log split in half. He stared. "Remind me not to make you mad." She tilted her head again. "Mad? Angry?" She nodded. "No, I don't get angry. I get quiet." Ethan paused. "That's worse." Later that day, she found an old book on the shelf. The cover was worn, the pages yellow. "Red?" she asked. Ethan came over. "You want me to read it to you?" She nodded, so he sat beside her, opened the book, and read. It was a simple story. A lost traveler finding a home. She listened without blinking, fingers gently touching the words. "What is hope?" asked. Ethan thought for a moment. "Hope is ... believing something good can still happen, even when it looks impossible." She looked out the window. The forest was dark and quiet. "I want hope," she whispered. That evening, while Ethan cleaned the storage room, she walked into his bedroom. She stood in front of the mirror again. This time, she wasn't afraid of what she saw. Her skin was rough, her eyes too wide, her face marked with scars, but she wasn't just a slave anymore. She was something else now. She touched her reflection, not a monster. Behind her, Ethan spoke softly. "No, you're not." She turned, surprised. He leaned in the doorway, arms crossed. "I heard you," he said. She looked down, embarrassed. "You don't have to say things just to be kind." "I'm not saying it to be kind," Ethan replied. "I'm saying it because it's true." She stared at him. "You different from others." "Not always," he admitted, "but I'm trying." She stepped closer. "Why?" Ethan didn't have a clear answer. Maybe because, when I look at you I don't see an alien anymore. I see someone trying to live. That night, thunder rolled across the sky. Lightning lit up the cabin windows. Ethan sat by the fire, checking his old radio. No signal, nothing but static. She stood behind him, quiet. Storms make me afraid, she said. He looked up. You want to sit here? She nodded. She sat beside him, knees pulled up to her chest. Ethan handed her a blanket. You're shaking, not cold, just memory. He didn't ask what memory. He didn't need to. Instead, he said, you're safe here. She looked at him. I want to believe that. Then start with trusting me. I don't know how. Then we'll learn together. Hours later, Ethan woke up on the couch. The fire had gone out. He looked around and saw her curled up in the armchair, still awake, watching the flames die. She looked at him, then whispered something he didn't expect. My name was Ori. Ethan sat up. Ori, she nodded. Before the chains. Before the pain. He repeated it softly. Ori, it was the first human word that truly belonged to her, and from that moment she was no longer just the alien. She was Ori, and she had begun to trust. The power went out just after midnight. The wind outside howled like a wounded beast. The forest groaned. Shadows danced along the walls of the cabin, lit only by the soft flicker of candlelight. Ethan sat at the table, staring at a half-finished map he'd drawn. Escape routes, hiding spots, old trails no longer on any government record. Ori stood by the window, her forehead resting on the cold glass. They're close, she said quietly. Feel it? Ethan nodded. Me too. For the past 2 days, drones had flown closer, low, silent, watching, listening. They want you back, he said. No, she replied. They want what I used to be. Ethan looked up. And what are you now? She turned slowly, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. I don't know yet. Later, they ate quietly by the fire. The warmth gave them comfort, but the silence between them felt heavier than ever. Ethan stood and stretched. I'll take the couch tonight. Ori tilted her head. Why? It's cold in the bedroom and the windows cracked. Better insulation here. She paused for a moment, watching the blanket slide from his shoulders. Then, gently, she spoke. You shake when you sleep. Ethan froze. She walked closer, holding her hands together tightly. Last night, I heard you. Bad dreams. He gave a weak smile. Yeah, I get those sometimes. She hesitated. Where I come from, we share warmth for safety, not for mating. Ethan raised an eyebrow. That's a good thing to clarify. Ori took another step forward. Let me warm your bed, human. The room fell into silence. Her voice wasn't seductive. It wasn't romantic. It was quiet, honest, almost sad. You saved me, she continued. But your eyes still carry weight. Let me carry some too. Ethan didn't know what to say. She wasn't asking for love. She was offering trust. He nodded slowly. Okay. The bed was small. 2 people barely fit, but they managed. Ethan stayed stiff at first, hands tucked close, staring at the wooden ceiling. Ori lay on her side, not touching him, just close enough to feel his presence. Minutes passed. Then she whispered, you are warm. Ethan turned his head. So are you. Another pause. Do humans dream every night? She asked. Most do, he said. Some dreams are good, some not so much. What do your bad dreams show you? Ethan closed his eyes. Things I can't fix. Ori was silent for a moment. Then I had no dreams when I was a slave, only silence. He turned toward her. I think silence is worse, she added. Ethan agreed, but said nothing. She shifted slightly closer, still not touching, but sharing space. This is the first time I've lain in a bed that wasn't made of metal, she said. This one creaks. Ethan replied softly. I like the sound, she said. It feels alive. In the middle of the night, thunder cracked the sky again. Ethan jolted awake, breathing fast. Ori was already watching him. Bad dream? She asked. He nodded, wiping sweat from his forehead without asking. She reached out and placed her hand gently on his chest over his heartbeat. This calms us, she whispered. Your kind has rhythm, it comforts. Her hand was cool, steady. Ethan, breathing slowed. She left her hand there, listening to his heart. After a while, he placed his hand over hers. Thank you, he whispered. Ori blinked slowly. You saved me. I want to keep saving you. By morning, the storm had passed. They stood by the window, watching sunlight break through the trees. Ethan made tea while Ori folded the blankets. You didn't have to, he said, handing her a mug. I wanted to, she replied. You let me into your space, into your peace. He sat beside her, sipping tea. Do you trust me now? He asked. Ori looked at him. I'm learning. They didn't need more words. The silence between them wasn't heavy anymore. It was safe. And from that day forward, they stopped sleeping alone, not for romance, not for survival, but for something rare, mutual healing. The first bullet didn't hit the cabin. It hit the tree just outside. The second bullet shattered the porch light. And the third one went straight through the kitchen window. Ethan hit the ground instantly, grabbing the rifle hidden behind the couch. Ori didn't scream. She didn't run. She stood perfectly still, eyes glowing brighter than ever. They found us, she said only hours earlier. The world had been calm. Ethan had repaired the old truck. Ori had learned how to use a hammer, though not very well. They'd even laughed when she bent the first few nails. But now, laughter was a distant memory. Boots crunched outside. Voices barked orders. Laser sights scanned through the broken windows. Target is inside. Repeat, target is alive. They weren't talking about Ethan. They wanted Ori. Ethan grabbed her wrist. Back door now. They ran through the hallway. Ori moved fast, silent, precise. She wasn't just some wounded alien anymore. She had trained before. She had escaped before. And she would not go back outside. Rain started again, thin, cold, but loud enough to hide footsteps. They reached the tree line. Suddenly a shout. There. Move in. Spotlights turned on, cutting through the woods like white knives. Ori pulled Ethan down just in time. A red beam missed his shoulder by an inch. He turned to her, breathless. You're faster than me. You're heavier than me, she replied. Even now, she found room for dry humor. They ran deeper into the forest. Ethan's boots slipped in the mud. Branches hit his face, but he didn't stop. Behind them, drones buzzed through the trees. Soldiers shouted, "Don't kill the asset. She's not an asset." Ethan growled under his breath. They reached the old ranger tower, abandoned for years. Broken steps, cracked roof, no power. Perfect. They climbed up in silence. Inside, Ethan collapsed against the wall, coughing hard. Ori knelt beside him. "You're bleeding." "I'll live," he said, though pain burned in his side. Ori pulled up his shirt. A small graze of bullet had scraped his ribs. She tore her sleeve and pressed it to the wound. Her hands were steady, her face calm. "You're better at this than me," he muttered. "I learned by watching people die," she replied. "I prefer this way." They waited in silence. The forest below echoed with voices and machines, but the soldiers were moving away now, searching in the wrong direction. Ethan looked at Ori. Her face was dirty, her hair damp, her eyes full of fight. "You could have run alone," he said. "Left me behind." Ori met his eyes. "I told you," she said. "I save what saves me," he smiled weakly. "Then I guess we're stuck together." Hours passed. Night came again. The rain stopped. They sat on the cold wooden floor of the tower, side by side, sharing a thin blanket. Ethan stared at the stars. "A long time ago," he said, "I believed in good people. And now," Ori asked, "I believe in one." She turned to him. "You?" He laughed softly. "I was talking about you." She blinked. "But I'm not people." "You are too." "Me." Suddenly, a loud ping echoed from below. Something metal. A trap triggered. Ori stood instantly, grabbing the knife Ethan had given her. He lifted the rifle. Footsteps came, then stopped, then silence. Too silent. Ethan whispered, "They're setting something up." Ori nodded. "We move before sunrise. North. Mountains, cold, but safe." Ethan looked at her. "You sure I was raised in cold?" He nodded. "All right. We run at first light." Before lying down, Ori walked to the window and looked out one last time. She spoke quietly. "They called me a thing, a tool, never a person." Ethan looked at her from his blanket. "What do you want to be now?" She turned slowly. "Yours." The sun never rose that morning. Thick fog rolled over the forest like a ghost. The trees stood quiet, frozen in white mist. Not even the birds dared to sing. And somewhere deep in that silence, a human bled. Ethan lay on the cold earth, body still, breath shallow. His blood painted the moss beneath him. One hand gripped his side, the other reached for nothing. Ori knelt beside him, eyes wide, hands shaking, but not from fear, from rage. "This is my fault," she whispered. "It happened just before dawn. They were climbing the ridge, limping, wounded from the day before." He had smiled even then. "Almost there," he had said, breathing hard. "Can't wait to see your cold mountain." Then the sniper's shot echoed. One bullet straight through his shoulder. Ori had turned faster than lightning, her knife flying through the air, silent, deadly. The soldier fell from the trees without a sound, but Ethan, he had already fallen now. She pressed her hands to the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "You're not allowed to die," she said. "Not you." He groaned, barely awake. "This wasn't in the plan." "I don't care about the plan," she snapped. "You stay awake, you stay alive." He smiled weakly. "You're bossy when I'm dying. Then stop dying." Ori dragged him to a cave she had seen on the map, Desagosmal, hidden, dry. Inside. She lit a fire, wrapped his body in every cloth they had, and began cleaning the wound with old supplies. She'd never done this for a human, but she had stitched her own skin. Others too. Back when pain was daily life, she whispered as she worked. Soft words, her language, not English, not for him, for herself, for hope. Night fell. Again, Ethan's fever rose. He tossed in the blankets, face pale, breath sharp and shallow. Ori sat beside him, feeding him water drop by drop. Once his eyes opened, he looked at her like she was a dream. "Ori," he whispered, "I'm here." His hand reached out. She took it. "You're not afraid?" "No," she said, "but I'm angry at what that you hurt." He gave a weak smile. "You care?" She nodded. "Too much." She stayed awake for 2 nights straight. She sang to him in her broken voice. Words no human would understand. But the feeling, warmth, sorrow, protection was universal. She placed a warm cloth on his forehead, changed his bandages, held his hand through his nightmares. He had held her once when she was broken. Now it was her turn. By the 3rd day, his fever broke. She cried but didn't let him see. When he finally opened his eyes fully, he whispered, "Still here." She smirked. "Of course. I'm stubborn, I noticed." He sat up slowly, groaning in pain. I should be dead, he muttered. You were, Ori said. But I didn't allow it. He looked at her, really looked. Her hair was messy, her face tired, eyes darker than usual. But there was something else. Fire. You saved me, he said. She shook her head. I'm just returning what was given. No, he whispered. You gave more. That night, he asked a question she didn't expect. Do you miss your home? Ori didn't answer right away then. I miss what home was supposed to be. Ethan looked at her, and now she looked around the cave at the fire, at the fight, at the space between them. At least here. No one owns me. He reached out, took her hand gently. You're free now. No, she said, squeezing back. I'm yours. The wind howled again outside. But inside, two souls healed each other, quietly, one stitch at a time. The stars were no longer just points of light in the sky. They were promises. Ethan stood at the cliff's edge, the cold wind brushing past his face. Behind him, the world was still burning, governments hunting what they couldn't understand. Soldiers chasing silence, but ahead was the unknown. And beside him stood the reason he hadn't given up. Auri. Her hood was up, her face half hidden in shadows, but her eyes were calm. Is this freedom? She asked softly. Ethan looked at her. Not yet, but it's close. The old spaceport was hidden beneath the mountain, long forgotten by anyone who didn't want to be found. Rust coated every wall. The launch pad was cracked, but the ship still stood small, fast, unregistered. Ethan had traded everything for it. Maps, fuel, his name. Now he had only one thing left to give, and he was looking at her. You still sure about this? He asked, as they stepped through the metal doors. Ori nodded. I don't belong on Earth, he said. You've learned so much. You've changed, she turned to him. So have you? Ethan chuckled. Yeah, I used to sleep with a gun under my pillow. You still do. They laughed quietly, then silence, then softness. I don't want to go without you, she said. Ethan blinked. You're not going alone. She looked up. Then where will we go? He thought for a moment. Some place without chains, without orders, where no one cares what shape your eyes are. Sounds made up. Maybe, he smiled. But I think we can build it. They boarded the ship as the sun began to rise. Ori ran her fingers across the console. Feels like home. Already, she looked at him. Home is not a place. It's a person. He looked away for a second. Her words hit harder than any bullet. Then she spoke again. Do you remember the first night when I said, let me warm your bed? Ethan smiled. How could I forget? I didn't mean just one night. He turned to her. She stepped closer. I meant every night. Forever, human, outside. Soldiers found the cave. The fire was cold. The blankets gone. They searched the mountains for hours, but the stars above didn't tell on them. 3 days later, somewhere in orbit far from Earth's watchful eye, a message blinked onto Ethan's screen. Unidentified vessel. Return, comply, or be fired upon. Ori looked at him. They'll shoot. Then we don't let them aim. Ethan flipped switches. You ready? She took his hand. Always. Engines roared. Stars bent around them, and in that moment chased, hunted, unwanted they were. Finally free. Later, when the stars calmed and silence returned, Ori sat in the crew quarters, watching Ethan sleep. No more shaking. No more nightmares. Just peace, she whispered, even though he couldn't hear her. You took me into your home, even as a wounded, ugly slave. She reached out, brushing hair from his forehead. Now let me warm your bed forever, human.